Such a pleasure to introduce today's speaker. Ellie Csepregi has been a cultural worker since 1972, a nomad who is currently situated in Windsor, Ontario, who graduated from the University of Windsor and who taught high school for over 20 years. Her work has been performed by dance and theater companies in Vancouver and has appeared in several publications, including but not limited to the Windsor Review, Rampike, Ash through Oxford University Press, Spittoon in Beijing, Cranberry Tree Press Anthologies, and Whisker Sally Anthology, Black Moss Press. And as you have heard, she recently has been published like this week in the latest anthology through Black Moss Press and the University of Windsor Publishing Practicum. Tears was her first full book of poems. And Ellie is a member of the Rotary Club of Windsor-Walkerville and its past president. We're so happy to have her here to mark National Poetry Month. So welcome, Ellie.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, so, all right, I love improvising. So what you're going to see here is an improvisation. So, okay, Tears. What's it about? And you might think, oh, what is that? Is that about crying or what? But actually, the subtitle for this book is called Tears, What Do We Do With All That Cake? All right. So now what's interesting about this, it's I started it off as an environmental book. And it turned into a bunch of pastries and baked goods. But there's a reason for that. Okay. And it's about post-consumerism. All right, so let me just read you the introduction of this book and why I was inspired to do it. Okay, what should we do with all this cake? In 1974, I was living in New York City. I waitressed at a banquet hall next to the Commodore Hotel. A restaurateur was celebrating her 5th marriage, and we served food while guests ate, drank, caroused, danced, collapsed, sang, and caressed. Men with red faces and calloused hands crammed money into my starched uniform pockets as they depleted trays of lobster tails, stuffed mushroom caps, and olive dip. A highlight of the celebration was the 6-layer graduated slab cake that was rolled out with fanfare to a dozen sparklers. We distributed the generous slabs of vanilla lemon cake. Most were left untouched, some swiftly devoured, and a few just poked at them and then nibbled on the edges. At the end, there was cake left. So each waitress was sent home with a huge chunk of elaborately decorated wedding cake. As I was waiting for a cab with Flora, a former opera singer, I noticed the 6th layer of the bridal cake had been carefully positioned in a corner of the squalid entrance of the hall, while 2 plastic doves tipped over on the hard fondant. This remained a haunting image and made me consider how we anticipate the future. Much goes into the planning and preparation of celebrations. And we strike another event, another milestone off our calendars, and another journey begins. Yet there is always something left behind, and cakes are there as an immediate glorious end that needs to be cleaned up. And it is always too much. And the best of our attempts linger as selected stories and dollar store ornaments. Okay, so that's what killed me about this. This whole thing of pastries and cakes and baked goods. And it was also inspired by a short story American writer, Raymond Carver. Anybody hear of him? Raymond Carver? He wrote a wonderful story about a young man, a baker, who had a reflection of all these people celebrating their lives and their milestones through pastry. And I found that to be incredibly inspiring, how, you know, we celebrate everything together. And the thing about cakes or baked goods is it brings people together. So this book is also about peace in some way. Anyway, it's an interesting book to read. And what am I going to say about this? I'm going to I'm going to tell you that I forgot the book that I have everything with. That's what I'm going to say. And I love improv. So let's see. I wrote a really interesting part in the back of this, and it's mostly about, actually, let's see now. Bear with me. I'm going to do the seasons. I think the seasons are a beautiful collection of poetry. So the seasons, I wrote a poem for each month. Okay. January ruffles. Resolutions are imprinted on January's tongue, whose predictions are convincingly trivial. We overlook the answer, ignore the lachrymose, switch to facility. February slices. Shared in secret passion flakies, February creates expectations of wrapped hearts by those often neglected, terminated with studied nuances. A small piece, please. I'm reducing. March beats. It is spring. March strides forward through rainy avenues, invites madness. When decisions are made, simply break useful rhythms, whistle enraptured verses, forget previous lessons. April stirs. Winter is askew over April's heart, whose words become smaller, eyelids and soft fingertips form fine hair, tickles her laughter, is patient, counts the change, wonders where she will find warmth. May rises. Beloved, you are so patient and fertile, brushing the grass along a river that swells and flows before the solar day, where tulips snap through the earth, new roots are embedded, seek depth. June measures. There are places that need exploring, and here we are in desks. Our names are written, leave marks that cannot be erased. We live between these narrow pink margins, these pale blue lines. July, and fire floats. On small golden red stars, we gesture in the twilight, gather on sand, entice bouquets of enchantment, subdued by the gentle bronze sun. August bakes. Oh yes, this is the one that saunters along the sidewalks, looks for eggs, flour, butter, a little sweetness, with a place to wait for the right blend, a chemical reaction powered by time and heat. September sifts. They move away. I help them load cars and trucks, fasten bikes to the backs of vans, so they can keep going once they get there. October ferments, stalking across a river, through a tunnel, over a bridge, into your house, under your fridge, behind your stove, between you and the cup, intoxicating elements beyond surprise, and through a door. November grinds. A type of purity prepares these kind words that must be spent before we vanish on roads, in hospitals, on bridges, and behind fear that our souls will wither, grow old on the tip of a match, the third one. December displays. He likes women with meat on their bones. Yeah. He kisses them so much under the mistletoe. Okay, and that's that. So anyway, yeah, April is poetry month, and I just read you a whole bunch of poems about every month in there, but I think every month is poetry month in a way. So I'm just curious now, how many of you do write poetry for yourselves? You do, right? Yes.
So I was just gonna ask you a question, Ellie, because you've inspired me over the years. Ellie and I taught together for 13 years at Catholic Central.
Mhm.
And you just exude like creativity and so I just wonder if you could kind of speak to the piece about, because you're on, right now you're on Facebook and you're doing a poem
Oh,
day.
yes, yes.
And
Yeah.
I think, how do you come up with this stuff? So you must think in poetry or like how, like
Well,
maybe
you know,
talk a little bit about that.
I'm glad you asked that. Okay, I'm really glad. Poetry for me is a type of survival. Okay. So what you're asking is very pertinent to what I'm doing. Every month, every day of poetry month, I write something. But what inspires it? Now, it just living kind of inspires it. Right now, I'm going through all my journals and everything. I've kept journals since I was 8. And I was a child who was very traumatized. Okay. I was a very traumatized child and I was considered a slow learner. I couldn't speak English. Every time they looked at me, I'd cry or I'd pee my pants and I'd cry and pee my pants. You know, it was awful and people would tease me. In fact, I'm the only 8-year-old in the world who was accused of shooting Robert Kennedy. Did you know that? Okay, so I did write a poem about that, but I didn't bring it because I didn't want to bring it, and I think I may have lost it in the shifting of things. No, I do have it online somewhere. But yeah, it was quite interesting. The shooting of Robert Kennedy, I was sitting there by myself in a classroom of grade 3s. And, you know, I was kind of an isolated child. And someone turned around and everybody was crying. They were watching the proceedings on TV. And 2 boys looked at me and said, "You dirty commie, you shot our president." Up until then, I never really spoke anything in English. I think I may have dreamt that I spoke in English. But I looked at these boys, I said, I don't know what language I was speaking, but I must have said something awful. But I remember thinking, you stupid boys. The president is in America. This is Canada. We have a prime minister. And besides, I'm a little girl and I don't have a gun. And then I think I may have picked up my shoe. Anyway, what followed after that was rather violent. I was told that the class was ending and I was always the last person out of the classroom. But the teacher had asked the boys to wait for me in the cloakroom. Okay, so I walked in there, the boys are waiting, and they beat me up. They stood there and they beat me up. So the teacher's standing at the door like this. She's wearing little pearls and blue sweater set. Hair is back home, blue eyeshadow. Are you boys finished? Eleonora, you can go home now. Thank you, boys. So that was, I mean, that would never happen today, right? So I don't know, I've always thought in poetry. And when I looked at my journals last night, because I had to do something with them, I was pretty shocked at what I was thinking as a young person. But yeah, I do. And it was a way of teaching myself. And you as a special ed teacher would understand how that works. You know, so it was a way of teaching myself English, a way of teaching myself how to write. And it was quite interesting. It was one of those weird children. I'd write a poem in school and they'd send me guidance. What's wrong with you? Anyway, that's how poetry happens. Everybody has a different reason for it, right? I just write it because, as I said, it's a form of survival. It's the way I look at the world. Oh, and also fame and fortune. Like all the money I've made over the years, I can't even begin to tell you how many Mercedes-Benz I can afford. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it into today. And Irene was talking about this book, the anthology. Irene and I are going to do a little work from this together because it's about inclusivity. Okay, and I don't want to be the only one up here talking. So let's go to, I did have 3 poems. I do have 3 poems in here. And I'm going to read a poem about the airport. All right, and that's the last poem I'm reading, and then I'm going to ask Irene to read one of hers. Okay, Ward 9, Fleets over Walker Airport. Details of who flew what and where don't interest me. There's always wars and schools that teach how to fight and fly planes during wars in the name of peace. Instead, let's discuss fashion. This plot of flight through air was so new and risky. People wore their finest attire, matching ensembles and suits. Passengers wanted to be remembered as stylish and well-coiffed for what might be their final moments on Earth due to a crash or, God knows, an alien abduction. But this was not the case. Here we are today. The airport has not grown much in size, but in March 2019, many Boeing 737 MAXs from random nations were forced to ground planes that just happened to be overhead. They were stored along wire fences where clover and wild grass began to grow into wheel wells. I imagined suddenly we felt international and useful until COVID hit and rumors swirled about shuttering the tiny airport. Again, that was not the case. Funny about direct flights to Cuba from YQG. The determined clack of wheeled suitcases through winter slush as sun seekers board onward to Havana and Veradero, their luggage stuffed with pantyhose, baby aspirin, mascara, toothbrushes, costume jewelry, hair clips, shaving cream, pens, and books to bring to Cubans who have nothing. The tourists at the all-inclusives leave their old clothes folded for hotel staff who later might open a stall to sell the not-so-shabby garments and footwear to neighbors in exchange for a few coins or a meal. Now, this is the case. Travelers in sweatpants return to Windsor after a week, flip-flop through the icy airport parking lot, gingerly protect their duty-free cigars and rum as treats to savor at home while they note the peel of a faded tan. Plan another quick getaway. Okay, so I think, and I do, when I was teaching, I really enjoyed getting all the kids involved. And it's great to see some of them really doing well with their writing and their creativity. So, yeah, poetry is a great thing. And I don't know, it's just Poetry Month, and it's not just for poets, right? So enjoy. Irene, come on up. Do you want to read one?
I'm going to read one, yes, because she asked me to.
Yeah.
I apologize in advance.
No,
I'm going to borrow your book.
yeah, of course. No, I love it when I include other people.
Okay.
I'll stay here with you in case you get
that's so
there beside me.
Oh, I'm
I'm sure since you're never around the people.
Yeah.
Shy, retiring.
You know me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the pages my stuff is on. Oh my goodness.
I think
Okay,
you're near-
84. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do 84.
84. Awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to read a poem called The Porter's Gorilla Letter. I have like 3 minutes, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take your time.
Thank you. The Porter's Gorilla Letter is loosely based on the structure that some of you might recognize, The River Merchant's Wife, a letter if you read it in high school or university, by Levi, the Chinese poet, as translated loosely by Ezra Pound. So this is the Porter's Gorilla Letter, and it's about Ward 3 and the McDougal Street corridor. Oh, I should mention also, if you're familiar with the songs of Bessie Smith, you might hear some familiar lyrics or song titles. The porter's girl a letter. While my hair was in ribbons, feet in Mary Jane's, I skipped along the cracked path on Tuscarora, featherlight steps allegro to Mama's soulful hymns, heard Bessie Smith through windows, phonograph blues, or Uncle Bill's lively trombone, praise wafting down the street from First Baptist, old folks rhythmic stomping on worn wood. You passed by now and then with fishing rods or bats, to and from the river or Weigel Park's dusty diamonds, doing what boys do. I barely noticed you amid some summer cicadas, street sounds, quotidian hum. At 17, I felt a funny feeling round my heart. Your hands gentle on my waist, we swayed, my legs languorous every step aside. Vinous nights, dizzy days, yet knowing all the boys fly to the city by and by and by. This spring, the railway beckoned to you. Gruntled, grinning, you packed your bags in haste. Stone-faced, I walked you to the station. Just when I desired my dust to dance with yours, my sweetie went away. Monotony of breezeless days, perpetual stream of sweat, weeks of futile fanning, joyless intonation, hands plodding heavy on black and white keys, front porch vigil, scanning the horizon in vain. Gone 5 months, traveling 3,000 miles of track, pristine in your suit, tongue sharpened with crisp inflection. Did you ring, sir? May I shine your shoes? Is your proud back still unbent despite all the stooping? Baby, won't you please come home? Here in our town, autumn has arrived early. Southward geese make sorrowful sounds above. Unraked leaves languish, lodged in tall brown grass. No match for your elegant city spires. Sunlit glass of tall buildings, glittering skyline jewels, still I wait. A good man is hard to find. If you are coming home for Christmas, please let me know beforehand. I will fly down the river road to the station, skipping along the cracked concrete. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask if there's any quick questions. And any questions? Yes.
This is just an aside, but Ellie, thank you very much. That was great. Your poetry is tremendous.
Oh, thank
Could
you.
I just ask you, excuse me, can you pronounce your last name
Oh,
again and
it's
give us
easy.
some words? Tell us a little story in your native language.
You want me to speak Hungarian to you?
Sure.
I can speak Hungarian to you, but yeah, my name is Cspregi. The CS is pronounced like CH, okay? And I found out recently that I'm actually from a very ancient group of people called Chango people, and they're on the other side of the Carpathian Mountains, part of Transylvania, Eastern Transylvania, and they're wanderers. Heavy duty Roman Catholic, but they still wander a lot. And there was a lot of genocide from the Orthodox Russians. So those Chango people wandered into the Seke area of Transylvania. And then my ancestors wandered out of Seke and went to the Great Plains where my mother and father were born. And then those two moved to Budapest because they were yuppies and they wanted to be cool. And then the revolution broke out. So they left and I went with them, of course, because I had no choice. I was a toddler. So if you want me to speak, I could sing you a song. How about I sing a song? This is an old song in Hungary they used to sing while they worked. Some songs were very sad and some were very silly. I'm going to sing you a silly song. It's about flirtation. Flirtation, it's spring, come on. We need to flirt and it's about love. Okay. We get it together. Gyere, babám, nincsen sár, nincs is van az ajtón semmi zár. Nyitva van az ajtó, bejöhetsz, bontva van az ágyam, feked le. Nyitva van az ajtó, bejöhetsz, bontva van az ágyam, feked le. Addig babám nincsen, el sem megy, a 300 gyertya el nem ég. Anya, de kis már felbenék, a mullogság nekünk nem elég. Anya de kikish már bebenig, a mulatság nekünk nem elég. Okay.
Ellie, will you translate that?
All right, so basically she's saying, come to my house, okay? There's no mud, the door's open, my bed's ready. Okay, and you're not leaving until until 2 candles are burnt down. Oh, but look, the 4th one is halfway melted. Oh, I guess you have to stay. Yeah.
Well, I'm aware of the parties that have taken place. Are you leaving, going to Hungary or?
Yeah,
you're moving,
I am.
or what
I
are you
am.
doing?
I'm moving, but who knows for how long? I mean, it's indefinite at this point, but I'm a full citizen.
Right.
And yeah, I decided I'm going to join the Rotary Club over there, the Rotary Club at Budapest City. I've been working with them and we've been working on projects together, like the Halata Tatlan Iskola. It's the invisible school for children that are on the road. And most of them are Roma heritage children, you know. And so what they do is they have mentors following them around and going to the homes where they live after school, because there's a lot of discrimination against the Roma kids in the regular public system. Monique was involved in helping us as well with that. She gave us really good pointers on how to mentor these children, and that, you know, her expertise was certainly invaluable. But yeah, we've been working on that.
What's the date of your departure?
April 13th. That's pretty soon. It's been a very difficult move, very difficult, but I'm looking forward to it. I enjoy an international, you know, situation. I mean, Canada is very diverse, but when you go to a city that's like Budapest, you get a lot of expatriates, or let's just call them immigrants from other countries who speak English. So it's fun, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We do projects with the Slovenian group in Ljubljana. We're going to have a big tango contest to raise money for a children's camp. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the political climate there?
Oh, the political climate is really interesting. Like, you know, you hear all this horrible stuff about Viktor Orban.
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, I'd like to sit down with him and, you know, give him a plate full of lovely Syrian baked goods and tell him that, I'm sorry, Victor, but Syrians make better cookies than Hungarians. Maybe he'll change his mind about that. Huh? Oh, no, there's nothing like that. There was a gay bar down from where I live. There were drag shows. In fact, the Rotarians over there just did a bunny drag show. Yeah, with the Rotor actors, bunny bingo drag show, you know, and they did drag and raised money for a hospital. Children's hospitals for cancer patients. Yeah. So, and Viktor Orban was not there. He did not come, but I'm sure the invitation would have been open to him, but he had other things to do. But no, it's not that bad. I mean, you know, the news, the media, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Ellie, you mentioned a certain name that you gave children. I don't know what that was. You say?
Oh, the Lata Tatlan Iskola, it's the invisible school
Or
for the Roma children. The
what
children,
is that?
Roma, I guess you would call them gypsies. That's
Okay.
the politically incorrect term.
Okay.
But they are of Roma heritage, and you know, they have their own rules, their own way of living. I went to see them in one of the houses in Debrecen, and it was quite funny. They were really doing well, but it's like a women's shelter. And the children live there with their moms. And then the mentors go there and they have classrooms set up for the kids after school, and they get taught and skills are developed so that they can go on to post-secondary education, possibly in the trades, or you know, some of them have turned out to be really bright, yeah.
And it's just because the men aren't present in their life, the men are transient.
The men are
things like that.
transient, or maybe the women are trying to get away from the situation,
Right,
you know?
all those.
Yeah, or the men are in prison often. So, I mean, it's a rough time for them, you know.
Yep.
I don't know any Romas really closely, but some are doing really well, so. Yeah, anyway, thank you very much for your time. And it's been a pleasure. I have extra books if anybody wants one. Any money that you pay towards it, like pay whatever you want, they're for $15, but $10, $5, and I'll redonate it to. Okay.
Wonderful. Everyone, let's join our hands together. I'm give me an embodiment of the Oscar music and to get you off the stage, but I do want to offer you some fine Canadian honey, which you may give to the great mayor of Hungary when you get.
I have honey.
Thank you, Ellie. That was wonderful.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was really great. Thank you very much for asking me to do this. I had a lot of fun with you guys, so great. I'll make sure this goes to the right place, right?